Out there, in the cold silence between the stars, there's a rumor spreading among alien worlds. A whisper that sends shivers through the scales and tendrils of every species that hears it. They call it the Deathworld myth. They say there's a planet so hostile, so unpredictable, that only monsters could survive there. A world where oceans rise and fall like breathing beasts. Where storms rip cities apart. Where every plant, every insect, every breath of air fights to kill you. That planet is Earth. At first, the galaxy laughed. They thought humans were just lucky animals that learned to build metal toys and fly around. But then, something changed. When the first alien fleets arrived near Earth, they saw something they couldn't explain. Humans didn't just survive danger. They grew stronger from it. What kind of creature becomes tougher the more it's hurt? What kind of species smiles in the face of chaos? And what secret inside humanity made every alien race suddenly afraid? Today, you'll learn the truth. Why humans are called Deathworlders. The science behind our impossible biology. And the shocking discovery that made the entire galaxy fear us. Let me show you exactly how this happened. It began, as most things do, with curiosity. The Galactic Council, a union of hundreds of peaceful worlds, had long monitored new species across the stars. They ranked planets by danger level. Most inhabited worlds scored between 0.2 and 0.5 on the hazard index. Earth? Earth ranked at 1.9. That's not just dangerous. That's nearly suicidal. Imagine this. On most planets, creatures live in stable climates. No ice ages. No volcanic winters. No acid oceans. But Earth? It's a planet that resets itself every few thousand years. Tsunamis. Ice ages. Meteor strikes. Pandemics. And somehow, humans didn't go extinct. They adapted. When food vanished, they invented farming. When beasts attacked, they made weapons. When the sky turned black, they found fire. To alien scientists, that wasn't evolution, it was madness. One report from the Galactic Council's Research Division described Earth as a breeding ground for aggressive resilience. Another memo simply said, "Do not engage. They evolve under stress." But here's where things got weird. When first contact finally happened, the aliens expected fear, surrender, or awe. Instead, the humans laughed. They offered coffee. They took selfies. And when the alien envoys threatened them with advanced weapons, humans replied with one chilling line. "We fought worse." Nobody on the council knew what that meant until they started digging into our history. Wars. Plagues. Natural disasters. And every single time, humans didn't just endure, they improved. Now here's where things get really interesting. The first real clue came from a report by the Zerath Explorers Guild. They were the first alien species to land probes on Earth's surface. At first, everything looked normal. Blue skies. Green forests. Flowing water. A paradise, right? Until the instruments started screaming. The temperature swung 40 degrees in a single day. Radiation spikes hit levels that would kill most alien life instantly. Half the planet's surface was crawling with bacteria so aggressive it could eat metal. And yet, here we were, barefoot, swimming, laughing. The aliens couldn't believe it. Their chief biologist wrote, "Human DNA appears to treat pain as training." Let that sink in. Most species break down under stress. Humans get stronger. Think about muscle growth. You tear the fibers, they heal thicker. The same happens inside your cells, your mind, even your immune system. Pain teaches the body. Suffering teaches the soul. That's not normal. That's terrifying. One alien scientist, Dr. T. Reen, reportedly said, "If we exposed our young to what humans call the daily life, none would survive a week." It wasn't just biology, it was psychology. Humans didn't only survive pain. They expected it. Every culture on Earth had stories of heroes who suffered, fell, and rose again. From ancient wars to modern disasters, humans carried one rule in their hearts. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And that's when the aliens realized something bigger was happening. The human brain had evolved a strange reward system. When faced with fear or struggle, it released chemicals, dopamine, adrenaline, endorphins, that didn't just help survival. They made danger feel good. Imagine an entire species wired to chase challenge, to laugh at storms, to climb the very mountains that kill others. That was the first major revelation. Humans are addicted to adversity. The more chaos, the sharper we become. And in a galaxy built on safety, order, and peace, humans were something alien species had never encountered before. Creatures that grow stronger by nearly dying. But if you think that's crazy, wait until you hear what happened when aliens tried to study us up close. The Council's Science Division didn't want to believe what the explorers had reported. Surely no creature could live like that, they said. So they set up what they called the Earth Containment Study. They brought a few volunteers from Earth to a quiet moon station. They gave them clean air, perfect food, and no danger at all. They wanted to see how humans behaved when life was safe. At first, the results looked normal. The humans rested. They slept longer. They joked with the scientists. But after a few days, something strange happened. They grew restless. They started creating problems that didn't exist. One man began building a wall, then knocking it down again. Another woman asked for heavier weights to lift. When the aliens refused, she filled bags with rocks instead. "Why are you doing that?" asked the researcher. Her answer froze the room. "If I don't struggle, I feel dead inside." The aliens didn't understand. Most species sought comfort. But humans seemed to need challenge, even pain, to feel alive. Then came the next test. They simulated a mild crisis, low oxygen, small temperature drops. Instead of panicking, the humans organized instantly. They built filters, shared rations, told jokes to keep morale high. One alien whispered, "They think this is fun." The Council realized something terrifying. Human stability depends on instability. Remove conflict, and humans create it themselves. Because struggle isn't our enemy, it's our teacher. Now compare that to other galactic species. The Virene avoided risk for millennia. The Thalaxians lived in sterile cities where disease never touched them. The Ashari banned physical conflict completely. They were strong, yes, but fragile. When real danger came, they broke. When things went wrong, they froze. But humans? They improvise. They adapt faster than any computer. And they bond under stress in a way the galaxy had never seen before. Aliens called it the pack instinct. We call it friendship. It's the reason a firefighter runs into burning buildings. The reason a soldier shields his team. The reason strangers help each other during disasters. That instinct, wired deep into our DNA, was something no other species shared. The Council's chief anthropologist summarized it in one chilling report. When faced with annihilation, most species flee. Humans form a tribe and fight back. And that's when fear turned into something deeper, respect. The aliens didn't just see humans as dangerous, they saw them as unpredictable. Because if one human could survive the impossible, what would billions of us become if united? That question haunted the Council. So they decided to look deeper, inside the very building blocks of our existence. What they found next would change everything they thought they knew about life itself. This brings us to the most shocking discovery of all. The Council's labs had never studied a genome like ours before. Every sequence they read led to more confusion. They thought they could map human DNA in a week. It took them months, and what they found made them question everything they knew about evolution. Human genes didn't look clean. They were full of broken bits, repeats, old viral codes. Most species treat those fragments like garbage and remove them over time. But humans kept them. And somehow, we used them. A Zirath biochemist said it best. Your genome is chaos that learned how to sing. In other words, we built strength from disorder. We took damage and made it part of the design. That pattern showed up everywhere. Scars that heal stronger. Bones that rebuild thicker. Immune systems that remember every enemy. Even the brain worked that way. Each trauma, every loss, every fear, it rewired itself. Instead of breaking, the mind found new paths. It created what the Council called adaptive plasticity. When aliens compared brain scans, they saw something terrifying. Under stress, most species' brain activity dropped. Under stress, human brains lit up. That meant danger didn't shut us down, it woke us up. So the scientists ran one final experiment. They simulated death. They showed human subjects visions of total loss, family gone, home destroyed, planet dying. And instead of despair, they saw the same reaction every time. Determination. Resolve. Hope. One subject whispered through tears. Then we rebuild. That was the moment the Council understood. It wasn't just strength or biology. It was willpower, something they couldn't measure. Humans carried an invisible force, one that no machine could predict. Call it spirit, soul, survival instinct, it didn't matter. It was real. And it terrified them. Because they realized something else. If humans ever reached the stars in full force, if we ever unified under one cause, no power in the galaxy could stop us. The report that leaked years later had one simple line at the end. Do not provoke the Deathworlders. If they rise, we fall. And yet, despite the fear, some alien voices began to whisper a different idea. What if humanity's madness wasn't a threat, but a gift? What if the same fire that terrified them could also save them? So the Council sent observers, quiet, hidden agents on Earth, to learn more. They expected to find violence. They found compassion. People giving food to strangers. Doctors risking their lives in plagues. Children dreaming of other worlds not to conquer, but to explore. The aliens realized that for humans, strength and kindness were two sides of the same coin. We fight because we care. We endure because we hope. We rebuild because we refuse to die quietly. That realization reshaped everything they believed about power. So what does all this mean for us today? After the experiments ended, the Council tried to hide what they'd learned. They sealed the reports, erased the recordings, and pretended the Deathworld study never happened. But secrets don't stay buried for long. Copies of the data began to leak through the black markets of the stars. Pirates, smugglers, and wanderers whispered about a species that could not be broken. Everywhere the story spread, the same reaction followed, fear mixed with fascination. Some called us monsters. Others called us miracles. The truth was both. Humans were proof that life could take every form of chaos and still find a way forward. And that idea started to change the galaxy. Civilizations that had lived in comfort began to question their own fragility. They studied our ways, our art, our war, our history. They asked, how did these fragile-looking creatures climb so far? The answer was simple: pain turned into progress. Every human invention was born from need. The wheel from hunger. Medicine from sickness. Fire from cold nights that would have killed us. Even now, in our modern world, that pattern still runs deep. When disaster strikes, humans don't freeze. They act. Communities rise from ruins. New leaders appear from nowhere. Every end becomes a new beginning. And this, more than anything, is why the aliens fear us. Not because we're violent. Not because we're clever. But because we never stop. You can destroy our homes, our nations, even our planet. And we will still find a way to rebuild. To the Council, that persistence was terrifying. They realized that if humanity ever faced extinction, we wouldn't fade quietly into the dark. We would fight until the last spark of light remained. And somehow, that light would start the fire again. That's why we are called Deathworlders. Because even in death, we create life. Now think about what that means for you, watching this right now. You carry the same blood, the same code, the same impossible will that has terrified civilizations older than time. When you struggle, when you fall, when you think you've reached your limit, remember that you come from the planet that kills gods and births survivors. Your pain isn't your enemy. It's your proof of life. And for the first time in galactic history, other species began to understand that. They stopped mocking humans. They started learning from them. And slowly, fear turned into awe. But the story doesn't end there. Because before we wrap up, there's one final thing you need to know. Not long after the leaks, the Galactic Council convened a secret meeting. Every major species attended. They thought they were there to discuss containment, maybe defense. But what they decided instead changed the galaxy. The Council's oldest member, an ancient being named Ortal, stood before them. His voice was soft, but his words struck harder than any weapon. "We were wrong to fear the Deathworlders," he said. "They are not the galaxy's curse. They are its cure." He showed them something the Council had ignored for centuries. The slow decline of every peaceful species. Low birth rates. Weak immune systems. Civilizations fading from comfort. Without struggle, they were dying inside. Then he played a recording. Footage of humans rebuilding after a natural disaster. People covered in ash and dust, digging with bare hands to save strangers. Children crying, but still helping. Laughter echoing through chaos. They do not wait for hope, Ortal said. They create it. That was the final revelation. Humanity's secret wasn't strength. It was creation born from destruction. Every other species saw endings. Humans saw beginnings. That's why the galaxy fears us, and why, deep down, they also need us. Because when the stars grow cold and empires fall, it will be humans who light the fire again. The Council dissolved the containment protocols that day. Instead, they sent emissaries, not to control humanity, but to learn from it. To understand how a fragile species from a violent world could teach eternity how to live again. And as the meeting ended, Ortal left one final message in the record. Do not run from the Deathworlders. Stand beside them. For when the dark comes, they will be the ones who carry the flame. The truth behind the fear was never about power. It was about potential. And now, the galaxy watches us, not as monsters, but as the spark that might one day save them all. If this opened your eyes, so now you know the truth. The galaxy doesn't fear us because we are cruel or ruthless. They fear us because we endure. Because we learn from every wound. Because even when the universe tries to break us, we find a way to turn pain into purpose. Think about that for a moment. Every scar on your skin, every heartbreak, every failure, it's not weakness. It's data. It's training. It's evolution in real time. That's what makes humanity different. That's what makes you different. When the Council first labeled Earth a death world, they meant it as an insult. A warning. A way to tell others, stay away from that dangerous place. But now, across the stars, Deathworlder has a new meaning. It means fighter. It means builder. It means hope. Because from the same soil that breeds storms, flowers still grow. From the same people who wage wars, come those who heal and create. Humanity is a contradiction the universe cannot solve, and that's exactly why it needs us. Every time we fall, we rise a little stronger. Every time something ends, something new begins. That's not just a story. That's our nature. And here's the part most aliens will never understand. We don't fight to destroy. We fight to protect. We fight for each other. That's the real power hidden inside our chaos, the reason the galaxy will never truly conquer us. So if you ever feel small, remember this story. Remember that even the most advanced beings in the universe studied us and stepped back in awe. You carry that same fire inside you. You come from the planet that taught the stars what strength really means. 3 takeaways to remember. 1. Pain is not the end. It's the beginning of growth. 2. Adaptation is our greatest weapon and our greatest gift. 3. Hope isn't found. It's built by ordinary people who refuse to quit. So, what happens next? Maybe somewhere, right now, an alien is watching Earth through a telescope. They're wondering if the stories are true. If the Deathworlders still burn with that impossible spark. And maybe will they see you. Someone who refuses to give up. Someone who keeps moving forward. Someone who reminds the galaxy what life really means. If this story opened your eyes, if it reminded you of what humans are truly capable of, hit that subscribe button and become part of this growing community of thinkers, dreamers, and survivors. Leave a comment below. White right pointing back hand index. What do you think makes humans the most unstoppable species in the galaxy? And when you're ready for the next chapter, watch our next video. The hidden empire that tried to control humanity and failed. Because the story of the Deathworlders is only just beginning.